sell, bro. Don't sell.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fellowship Church. I'm Drew.
And I'm Henry.
And we're Next Gen student leaders. Here are a couple announcements we have for you today. Was that fire?
For the ladies, don't miss the FC Women's What am I doing, bro?
Or just read.
Shut up. You had an easy part. For the ladies, don't miss the FC Women's Fall Fellowship coming up on Tuesday, October 22nd at 6:30 p.m. It will have worship, pumpkin decorating, fall treats, and a cozy fire pit hangout. Let us know you'll be there and sign up online, or at the table in the atrium. I cooked!
FC is once again planning to send a team to Costa Rica this summer to serve at the Hope Center. If you're interested in joining, come to our interest meeting on Sunday, October 20th after second service. You'll get all the details and have a chance to ask questions. Sign up online or in the atrium.
Today, we've kicked off a fundraiser for those planning to go on a...
You got it.
Yeah, gotta lock in. Today, we've kicked off a fundraiser for those planning to go on the Costa Rica mission trip. We're selling fresh Christmas wreaths from Canada for $20 each. You can purchase one in the atrium or online with pickup at the church on Sunday, December 1st. If you'd like to support those going, buying a wreath is a great way to help. If you're going on the trip and want to get involved in the fundraiser, please talk to Laura Santamaria.
Oh
my gosh! Let's go!
Lastly, we want to...
Bro! Sit for 1 second.
I just need a minute. Lastly, we want to say thank you to all of you who generously...
Just read it. Just read it like I did. Like, it was so easy.
Lastly, we want to say thank you to all of you who generously give to Fellowship. Your regular giving enables so much change in our community and abroad. If you'd like to give today, you can do so by scanning the QR code on...
I think we gotta redo that one. You kinda sold, bro.
If you'd like to give today, you can do so online by scanning the QR code on the chair or by dropping your gift in the giving box when leaving the auditorium.
Thank you and enjoy the rest of your...
Just say thank you and give us the service.
Thank you and enjoy the rest of the service.
Perfect.
Fire! Let's go!
Well, hey there, church. Here's one thing that I know about us as people. We all like to win. Now, if you're a New England Patriot fan, that ship has sailed. And I would encourage you to jump on the UConn football team bandwagon. The stadium is filling up. Let's root for the local team here. Listen, we all like to see that we're succeeding at things, don't we? Whether it's playing pickleball, or a personal record at the gym, or if you're a student, those passing grades look really good, or even at work, gaining well-deserved recognition, or getting a raise, or just relationally being liked by your friends and by your family. There's even a dopamine hit that comes from this. Well, sometimes we can pursue winning a little too strongly at times in our life, and it results in us alienating or running over or pushing people away. And then sometimes we can become so discouraged because we feel like we never win that we simply just give up. And neither of these are great options. Jesus talks about what winning looks like, though, and it looks quite different than how we'd probably define it. It's what he called us to do and what we're really to be about. And most of all, it's better. And it's a pathway to bringing healing into our world. So we're on this journey throughout the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus is sharing his values with a ragtag group of people. And as a matter of fact, us too. And he begins with these 8 statements of what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus and his ways, his values. And so it starts in Matthew 5, 3 through 10. It says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. And blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Well, today's is Matthew 5:5. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Guys, when I think of this statement, I think of an old commercial starring Charles Barkley. And he was this big, strong, physical basketball player back in the day, and he was known for enforcing his will on other people. And his statement on that commercial has always stuck with me, and it was this: the meek might inherit the earth, but they won't get the ball. No one desires to be meek when they grow up. Meekness really isn't talked a whole lot. It's not affirmed or celebrated much these days. But who are the meek that Jesus is talking about? And what does this inheriting the earth have to do with this? Well, scholars tell us that Jesus is referring back to a statement of King David in Psalm 37. And he says this: "Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong, for like grass they soon fade away. Like spring flowers, they soon wither. Trust in the Lord and do good. Then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper or fret about their wicked schemes. Stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm. For the wicked will be destroyed, but those who trust in the Lord will possess the land. Soon the wicked will disappear. Though you look for them, they'll be gone. The lowly, or the meek, will possess the land and will live in peace and prosperity." Guys, this statement by David, this writing by him, it resonated with the original hearers of this, of what Jesus was talking, of who Jesus was talking to. They were under the oppression of Rome. They had very limited freedoms. They were bereft of resources because of high and unfair taxes. There wasn't a lot that was afforded for them to do. They didn't have much agency at all. And this idea of land was really important to them. It went all the way back to the land that was promised to them through Abraham, when God promised Abraham this. And Abraham went to the land, found this land, lived on it as a nomad, just a nomadic lifestyle. And throughout the years, eventually, Egypt came to power, and they became a world power. And a lot of the people who were promised the land were in Egypt as slaves. And this is where Moses rose up. God tapped Moses here. And he led the people out of Egypt through the wilderness for 40 years. And finally, through Joshua, into the land, this promised land. And there was this statement that was there that was really important. This commitment that God made to the people of the land. If you obey me, you will have the land. But if you disobey me, the land will be taken from you. Well, ultimately, they kind of turned their back on God over and over and over again. And this led to the time of the empires, the Babylonian empires, the Persian, the Greek, and eventually the Roman Empire. And so for the past, several centuries, the people that were listening to Jesus wanted to know how to get their land back. And, it was interesting in the time of Jesus, there were 4 groups who had very strong opinions and approaches regarding this. First, there were the Pharisees, who believed if you were extra obedient, if you followed the religious rules, the land would come back to you. But the problem is, you can get caught up in checking boxes and these religious rules and lose your heart for God. And this is what these guys had done, because frankly, it's easier to be a rule keeper and to check all those boxes than it is to check your own heart. Then there were the Sadducees. And these guys were just realists. They were like, we can't beat Rome, so let's join them. So they compromised their values and kind of walked away from things in order to be able to survive in the moment that they had. And then there was this third group, and they were called the Essenes. And these guys, they just unplugged from everything. They would be like today, just people that just kind of moved off the grid, right? And they just moved up into the mountains and lived by themselves. And they went into these solitary places, and that's how they faced this situation. And then fourthly, last of all, there were the Zealots. And man, these guys, they were they didn't have a whole lot of rules when it came to land. They would take the land back by force. They were willing to fight. They were willing to shed blood for the land. It didn't matter. Might makes right is kind of what they lived by. So if any of these describe or resonate with you at all when it comes to life for you, whether you're like, man, I just want to check out, or, we need to take some things by force, or, if I can just be super, super good, I can control these things in my life this way. Jesus would say, these are not the way. This is not the pathway. Jesus would say, I am the way. And in this context, Jesus is saying that in his kingdom, it's the meek that inherit the earth. So what does it mean to be meek? What did Jesus mean by being meek? Well, it means being gentle toward other people. It means having some humility in your life and to be considerate of others and not just live for yourself. I would say this, that meek is not weak in the Greek. When we talk about the New Testament, Jesus isn't talking about being mousy. There's a whole lot more here. He is talking about being gentle and humble toward people, but it's like this quiet strength or this poise that you have even when things aren't going your way. Matter of fact, probably the greatest example of what a person of meekness looks like is Jesus himself. I mean, think about it. The world that he lived in, it was on fire. We talk about it being that case today, but it was crazy back then. And it was real, and there was danger everywhere. But Jesus never allowed it to move him from his purpose. His meekness allowed him the ability to turn the other cheek whenever he had a chance to get even. His anger, when he displayed it, and he did display it, was always controlled, and it was always appropriate. It was never out of control. And he invited people into this way of life. As a matter of fact, Matthew records this. Jesus says this, my Father has entrusted me with everything. So there's your quiet strength. No one truly knows the Son except the Father, and no one truly knows the Father except the Son, and to those whom the Son chooses to reveal him. He's talking about his relationship with him and God the Father and us. Then Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because here it is, guys, I'm humble and gentle at heart. He's saying I'm meek, and you will find rest for your souls. This is interesting. I mean, think about yourself. Do people find rest when they're in your presence? Or is there just a bunch of anxiety and reactivity in the room? When you're the most powerful person in the room, do you leverage your power to benefit others? Or do you use it for yourself? To be meek, really, at the foundation level, is to trust in God, that he's in control, that he's here, that he's present, he notices, and that he has a plan to do good in your life. And then being meek is also doing good to others, not withholding good, but doing good, even though situations may not be the way that you want. It's really an invitation to trust God, to really believe that he's in control, to have the certainty that his plans and his work will accomplish what he's promised is going to happen. So what Jesus is pointing to is really relevant to today, this day and age that we're living in. And it's even more poignant in this particular season that we're in, even as a country. See, meekness, as I said before, it's not usually celebrated. It's more like this. Blessed are those with the loudest voices and opinions. They get all the attention. Guys, people are looking for solutions these days, aren't they? They're looking for solutions to the troubled times that we live in. And Jesus is saying, this is the way we heal the world. Now, I love what the Message translation of this beatitude is. It says this, you're blessed when you're content with just who you are. No more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. Man, that statement, doesn't it just bring peace to your life to say, if I could be in that place? So what does it mean for us? I mean, what is the lifestyle of the meek? Well, let's unpack that together and get super practical about what this could look like in our life. I would say, number one, it starts with daily well-being. And what I mean by this is really cultivating a basic satisfaction in life, no matter what the circumstances. Having this energized spirit about you, a rested soul, we could say. In the Hebrew world, they would say this is living with shalom. Now, none of this is based on outside circumstances, and none of this is based on outcomes going your way, which is really hard for us. It's really about trusting God and bending your will to His and making a commitment that I'm going to do good today. And so what this looks like for us practically is to begin each day with hope. And we've been talking a lot about hope this month. It's our virtue of the month. And this is illustrated in one of David's writings, how he talks about how the things out in outer space really give voice to God and His presence. But I love what he talks about the sun and the anticipation of each morning. In Psalm 19, he says this, God has made a home in the heavens for the sun. It bursts forth like a radiant bridegroom after his wedding. It rejoices like a great athlete eager to run the race. Man, it's the idea that, I wonder what God has in store today. Anybody can win today. It's like all these athletes who are getting ready to race. We don't know who's going to win, but all of them have a chance. It's that anticipation, right? The meek start their day, they put their trust and their well-being in God's hands. So even think about your prayers recently. A lot of times our prayers are just kind of like rehearsing all of our inadequacies, right? It's remembering over and over again what we don't have, right? And it can lead us, if we're not careful, to a sad and depressed type of way of life. So I want to challenge you this week, challenge you today, to start your prayers extolling God, His greatness and His goodness. Do that first. If you have things to ask, of course ask for those. But center in at the beginning of your prayers on the greatness and goodness of God. One of the things you might want to do this week is just go outside and see the sun rising. And then at the end of your day, write one or two things down that you're really grateful for that day. This is how we cultivate this daily well-being. This is how we live with hope. This is how we rest in God. So think how you can arrange your day so that you're experiencing this deep confidence and joy and contentment toward everyday life, whatever comes your way. And this might look like championing deep relational connection. We already know loneliness is an epidemic. And no one does well alone with their own thoughts. So think about, do you have one or two deep friendships? That people who in your life who can bring perspective and hope to your life? That would be so important, is to make sure that you're spending time with people. And practice the presence of Jesus throughout the day. Think about, how many times can I bring Jesus before my mind? A meek person's joy isn't tied directly to the outcomes of the day. It's tied to being with Jesus. Now, a second thing might be this. This is another way that we can cultivate meekness in our life. Resilience. The meek have the ability to adapt to change, and that's really what resilience is. To grow and to learn, but also to recover. To develop a high frustration tolerance, that not everything's going to send them over the edge. It's the ability to incorporate pain into life, because it's a reality, right? We hear a lot these days about burnout, and burnout is really the opposite of resilience. And burnout is caused by unresolved anxiety in our lives. It's not necessarily workload. We always look to our jobs and say, I'm burnt out. But burnout is more emotional than it is anything. So think about resilience building in your life. The third thing of meek people is that they live with authenticity. The meek are really comfortable in their own skin. They don't have anything to prove to other people. There's this quiet strength about them. They have the courageousness to be real because they're clear on their identity and their values. They understand who and whose they are. And then finally, being meek allows you to have the capacity to thrive. The meek are able to experience meaning and significance and purpose in their life, in their everyday life. They understand. They have limits. They understand of their own mortality, that they're not going to be living this life forever. They bend their will to God's in their life, knowing that what they do, it counts each and every day. Every interaction they have with somebody, every thought that crosses their mind. And they're being able to move forward when they can't control circumstances, especially the ones that are deeply painful in their life. They learn a day at a time how to live with pain and to find God in the midst of it. The meek understand that when a solution is impossible, meaning is still available. Nothing illustrates this more than Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Soon before his torture, humiliation, and death, he prays to the Father, if there's any way that this cup can pass from me, let it pass from me. The pain that I'm about to experience, the difficulty of what this is. But if not my will, but yours. That's meekness. He trusted the Father, and he did what was good. And what he did on the cross was good for you and for me. But Jesus had the strength to go to the cross and to suffer and to bleed and to die. But in doing so, there was a greater purpose. He paid the penalty for our sins. And because of the joy that was awaiting him on the other side, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame, this quiet strength he had. Now he's seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. And he offers for you and me a better way. He offers us the good life for those who will say yes to him. So maybe in your life, you've known of Jesus, but you've never invited him into your life to be the leader of your life, to be the forgiver of your sins. And you don't have that relationship with him that's extremely personal, that allows you to trust him and walk with him when all of life just seems to fall apart. And if that's where you are, I want to invite you to invite Jesus into your life, to lead, to guide, to direct, to be your Savior, to be the forgiver of your sins. And you start with that, and it is a lifetime with him. It's an eternity with him. And you learn to grow, to follow him, to follow his ways, his values, and it is the good life. So guys, winning isn't all about outcomes. Aren't you glad to hear that? Winning is about a quiet strength. It's about bending our will to God's will. It's about trusting him, and it's about being light and life to other people in our lives each day. So I want to encourage you to do just that today and this week. How can you encourage somebody? How can you bring the anxiety level down in the rooms that you go into? How can you show poise and how can you show trust in God through the smiles on your face, through the kind words that you say, through the gentleness of how you treat people and all the things that are going on in your life? And when you can live this way, no matter what is going on externally, you're living the good life.